Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to make another bag for the Roxy Journal of Stitchery prompt. The bag, the first 2 weeks I made the drawstring bag with all the red fabrics. This one I want to use this beautiful piece of fabric that I picked up in France. Now I haven't cut into this yet, I've just squirreled it away, and I think this is the project that I'm going to sort of nibble out a little piece of it and make a bag, a tote. So I typed into YouTube how to make a tote, and the first video that popped up was from Chicnscratch, Angie. Now I'll just give you a couple details of her video. It's linked below. I'd highly recommend that you go and have a look and even make one following her instructions, because it's so clever and so simple that I think it'll be a good way to sort of judge whether it's the right size. You will need a sewing machine with Angie's, but you could easily adapt it to hand sewing. So if you don't have a sewing machine, with a little bit of time, you could certainly hand stitch this with a back stitch down the side seams. You could even make it with rough edges so that it looks more scrappy and the side seams aren't all internal, but that's up to you. The name of the video is How to Make a Small Tote Bag. Chicnscratch, C-H-I-C as in chick, N scratch with a capital S, and Angie is the lady talking you through the process. It only goes for about 28 minutes, definitely worth a watch. As I said, linked below. Now, this is going to be one side of my bag and this is going to be my lining. In Angie's video, she uses just a beautiful piece of fabric and the lining has an interfacing on it, and the outside of the bag has a slightly thicker pellin, but it's also iron-on, and that helps her bag to stand like a little tote should. Now, being that we slow stitch and collage and add textures and all of the above, my bag should stand anyway, so I'm not too concerned. There are some little handles. I haven't got to the handle stage yet. I'm not really concerned about it. I just want to get to the stitching stage. So at the moment, the only measurements that I'm showing you here is 11 by 8. Okay, so just remember 11 by 8, and you can make that bigger or smaller. Like, it's not a bad size actually, now that I've sort of started. I'll show you where I'm at with the tote, and then we can get into the actual hand sewing decorative element of my little bag. So as I said, my lining is going to be this product. It's sort of already got a fleece on the back. I don't know the name of this, guys. I've had this probably for 30 years in my cupboard, but I have seen it for sale in quilt shops still. If anyone knows the name of it, please pop it in the description, because there may be others that might want to go searching for it and grab a meter of it. And I thought, this is so good. This is going to save me time because it's already stitched. Can you see sewing machine stitched? And it's got that nice quilted look. It's got the lining. Bob's your uncle done. That's going to be my internal part of my tote. And then I've got my beautiful French fabric that, oh gosh, I've been squirreling away and I haven't yet nibbled a piece out, but I have now. Let me just open it up. I went looking at the design to get myself a nice piece out that's 11 by 8. And you can see here I've got some lines drawn in the ink pen to try and capture a flower, but it was sneaking into a seam here, it'd be into a seam here. So then I went to the other end of my fabric and I found a spot where I can cut, where is it? Cut out here. You can see I've already been here and cut out my 11 by 8. I'll show you that in a moment. So let's put this fabric aside. Let's squirrel that back into the cupboard for another rainy day project. Okay, now, as I said, this is my lining and that's going to be my outside of my bag. So let me just bring you up to speed of where I'm at. If you watch Angie's video, this will make a lot of sense, but I'm going to give you the shortened Corrine version, and hopefully it'll be enough to go, yeah, that's not a bad little bag. I'll toddle over to Angie's video and maybe make a prototype. That way too, you can decide whether it's a good size for you. I'm just going to go with this size that Angie recommends, this 11 by 8, because I think it'll work. So what I have done so far, using that cheats lining, we'll call it Corrine's cheat, I've cut 2 pieces, 11 by 8. Okay, I then took it to my sewing machine and sewed down the side seams, and I also sewed across the bottom, but I left a gap because when it's all joined together, you're going to turn the bag back through this. I hope it's a big enough gap, but we should be able to do it. So I started here and went to the edge, started here, went to the edge. Bob's your uncle, one lining. Like, how easy is that? If you don't have a sewing machine, there is no way, no way. There is definitely, you could stitch this by hand. It'll take you a little bit extra time, but if you do a back stitch all the way along, you'd be done. So this can be handmade. That's my lining, great, out of the way and finished. Now this is the outside of the bag. So I have one piece of my beautiful French fabric and one piece of calico. So you can see where I'm heading with this. This is where I'm going to play. This is where I'm just going to showcase this beautiful fabric. At this stage, I'm not going to stitch into it. I'm just going to admire it. We'll see what happens with the project, but I'm really happy with my position. I've got a leaf here. If there's a side seam, I'm not interfering with this. I've got some berries. These berries may disappear a bit, and I'll show you why in a moment. So that is my outside pieces so far. I am going to put some wadding on these two to give them a little bit of structure, because once again, I want my little tote to stand. So I'm just going to grab my fleece and I'm going to cut some extra wadding. Now remember, this fleece I picked up from Spotlight. Tia, Calm Creations, she actually works at Spotlight, and I went in to say hello and was looking for some felt, and it felt so scratchy and yucky that she says, oh, try this, and it is warm white cotton batting. It's beautiful. So it's great to stitch into. So for hand sewing purposes, why am I doing this so cack-handed? Let me just spin this around. Goodness me. So in Angie's video, making the little tote, she uses a iron-on palette, which I don't have, and I don't really want the glue, and this will suffice. I'm just going to cut it a little bit bigger because I can trim it back. And you know how it is when we start stitching and embellishing and doing all those gorgeous things, everything shrinks a little bit. So it is technically 11 by 8, but this could be a little bit bigger. That's not a bad thing. And I'm going to put also this. Like I said, I don't think I'll stitch this, but who knows? There we go. Let's just rough cut that. So I've now caught up with Angie's video where she uses some linings on her fabrics. But luckily this was already lined, so, but you could easily do the same process. Just select a fabric for your lining and then, you know, iron it together or stitch it together. You could hand quilt that. That'd be a lot of fun. Draw yourself some lines and hand quilt it. It's not a big tote, so it certainly is achievable to do such things. Where's my pins? Just going to attach that because I won't need this piece now until I'm ready to join my bag together again like this one. But I need to do stitching on this first, so this will just sit aside for now, waiting for me. Okay, now before we go too much further, I want to show you one more of Angie's little tricks for making her bag. Totes tend to stand with a corner that is very square, and there's quite a few ways of doing it. You can square it up just with straight stitching across the corner, but Angie's idea I thought was, well, I've never seen it. It may be how you do it, but I've never seen it. I just want to show you because I can then go ahead and do it to this bag, this lining. So I'll flip it over because what Angie does is she gets herself a template and she makes it 1.5 inch square. And I just cut out a piece of paper, 1.5 inch square, that's it. She then places it on the corner, but the trick is don't place it on the corner of the lining, push it in to the seams that you've used down there, and then square it off with a pen and cut it out. This is so clever. Oh, maybe it's everyone does it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just catching on to the cleverness of this. You know, when you find a new toy and you think, oh, that's genius. And you guys will be sitting there going, Corrine, everyone's been doing that for 30 years. It's probably what the case is. But anyway, I'm having a moment. So you just trim your corner out. I will do the same to the outside piece at some stage. And that's something that, being hand sewn, we need to actually consider, because when I collage this piece, this will be cut out. So if I'm doing any running stitch, I need to take that into account. So that's why I thought I'm going to show you guys this, and we're going to place that right on the corner. Now remember, Angie's was a little bit smaller. I'm going to use this because it actually includes that side seam. See, there's Angie's template. I'm going to use this because at the end of the day, all of that will not be seen in my collaging. So there's no use putting a gorgeous piece of lace there because it's just going to be chopped out. So I just want to make a note of that at this stage. That would have been disappointing if I'd put a beautiful piece of, you know, French lace coming out here and then chop, it's all gone. So I just wanted to warn you guys that this is, being removed at the construction of your bag outside piece. So back to the lining. This now gets turned like that, and she just nestles those seams in, one going one way. Nesting, I think is the word, isn't it? You can split it like so if you're so inclined, but she doesn't. She just nestles them. Get it right, Corrine. She just nestles them like that. All right. Actually, I might pin it. They tend to move when you pin that way. So I'm going to pin this way. It's been a while since I've nested seams. Like so. But look, by now you've probably paused me and you've gone off to watch Angie's video to decide whether this is a project for you. The little bag. All right, so that now just needs sewing down there, and you've now got that nice square little bottom to your bag. How clever. Maybe I'm the only one to know this, but anyway, I'm having a moment. I'm thinking it's genius. I might stop the video at this point because I really want to go and sew that, and I'll be back. So I'll just pause it. Okay, I'm back. So side seams or the corner seams are done. When I was doing it, I remembered that Angie said, make sure that these seams are lying in the same direction, because if one goes one way and one goes the other, you're just creating a bit of bulk at the bottom of your bag. So that'd be one little thing to keep in mind when you're doing these side seams. The side seams you use are just a scant little seam, because that's, you know, less of your gorgeous fabric sort of disappearing within the bag. The outside edge was, she uses her foot on her sewing machine as a bit of a guide. So I think this one was the outside of the foot, was her measuring space to go down. This was the slightly in from the outside of the foot. She does a little bit of that in the video, which I think is just so simple instead of measuring and that. So just, you'll know what I mean if you go and watch the video. So technically my lining is done and ready. So I can put that to one side. This piece here, at this stage I'm doing nothing to it, so I will also put that to one side. Now there are some handles in the video that Angie makes. You will see how she constructs her handles. I did write the measurements down. 9 inches by 3 inches is a strip of fabric that becomes her handle, and she cuts 2 of those. And then she also cut 9 inches by 1 inch, a little piece of pallin or wadding or fusible webbing that goes inside this decorative piece to sort of help that handle to stand. Watch the video, it'll all make sense. I'm not going to worry about that at this stage because my next challenge is embellishing this one side of my tote. Now, remembering this is my colour palette, neutral plus blues, I have, and this is how this all came to be, I have, let me bring him in, this little guy. Now, while I was me going to Ballarat, I had an idea about hand quilting this little bird. Now, he's a classic little guy that you would see worked into quilts. But I didn't do that. I actually cut all the elements out and then using thread, hand stitched him down. So he's just sitting there, this gorgeous little guy, and I'm going to use him on my tote. So let me bring you up to speed on how to create a feature element for the tote. And that's what I'm planning to do from this point. Now, this pattern is a free pattern. I just typed into Google bird quilt pattern and there was heaps of them. And this I just downloaded from Charming Tribe. Really simple. Now, if you were making a quilt, you would create all of these little blocks on your sewing machine and adjusting the fabrics, colours. You got one wing here, a little wing popping there, and then his body, and then tail. You can do so many variations of this little chap. And I thought, well, why can't I hand stitch him as a, you know, a slow stitch little bird? So that's the plan. Now, as you go through this printed document, here's the pattern. What else have they got here? Oh, here's all of the little blocks. We'll go through this in a minute. So if you were making a quilt and this little guy was worked into it, this would be how you do it. We're going to break a few rules and not do it exactly as they do it. See, they start building him up by a plain block, a little bit of this guy, that one, there's the strip, join the strip to there, you got the tail happening. Oh, complicated. I also noticed like there was bunnies, there was dollies, there was so many designs out there that can be worked into quilts that were animals or, you know, foxes and you name it, it was out there. Have a look at the Tilda books. There's heaps of them. So yeah, we're not making a quilt. We want to slow stitch this fellow. So I might pause the video and I'm going to make one of these next in this video and show you how I did it. This little guy. It's a lot of fun. And then this little guy, because he's already made, he's going to end up on this bag at some point. But for now, let's make ourselves a feature little quilted, hand quilted birdie for my tote. And I might do it in a different colour. And I'm just going to have him as a morsel in my you know, stash, like the dragonflies, just little bits that maybe one day become something. Like this little guy, he's been sitting around for a month and a half, so he's going to the tote. But in the meantime, I'll show you how I made him. All right, I'm going to pause the video, grab myself some fabrics, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So what I did is I went and photocopied this because I'm going to cut it up and I need something to show me where everything goes. So I'll just keep this to one side. Hopefully I can keep it up in shot there. This is one I'm going to cut into little pieces to get all of the little elements from my bird. I also went and grabbed some background fabric. Now this is some old linen that this guy was cut from. And then I also found this piece as well. So it doesn't really matter because it's just a random little bird for my stash. So I think I'll use this. Now, what I did is start cutting my panels down, or my cubes. But I only want the cubes that have a little bit of this bird in them. So the first thing is to get rid of all this excess. See, even that one's not needed, but we'll leave it there for a moment. That white block is not needed, but you know, if you're making a quilt, you would need that because it's all part of one big panel. Here comes Spudge. Oh gosh, that boy, I've been up since goodness knows when, and he's finally got out of bed now. And he's now joining me, so I'm sure he will. He's had his breakfast, he's coming to say hello. He probably heard little bird and thought, that's something a cat should be involved in. So there we go. Now I will cut this little guy out because we won't need him. Fudgy, what's happening? All right, so that is all we need for a slow stitch version of this little chap. We've got our map. Now, what I'm going to do is separate everything, but try and keep it ordered, because if it's going to get out of control, well, I guess if all your bits get messed up, doesn't matter, because you've got this. And it might just take a little bit longer to figure out what goes where. And while you're getting this stage ready, it's like a jigsaw puzzle this is, start thinking about the colour combinations. So you can do as much or as little with this project. So you're ready. I have to stop and think. No, is that right? It's out there, that's right. And that's there. So take your time and keep it all organised on your desk. If these get all messed up, you might spend an hour trying to unmess it. Now see these pieces? There's a little bit there and there. Don't worry about them at this stage. If you start chopping down the piece even more, you will be very confused. You may not, but I would. I'm easily confused. So when you go looking for a little bird, you go and have a look at some of the other shapes that are out there. Some very clever ways of bringing pieces into your quilt. Like I turn that to cut it, make sure I keep it. So I'm trying to talk and concentrate at the same time. What possibly could go wrong? That one there, that one there. Okay, I'm happy that I haven't jiggered my little bird up. So we'll leave that sitting there. Got that as well, so I can't bugger this up, surely. Anyway, let's have a go. Now the fabrics, I went and grabbed my pack of scraps here, but I sort of felt like I wanted a red bird. And when I went through this, could do a gold guy, maybe gold and red. So I've also got some red fabrics beside me. Maybe we do a neutral guy. There's a little bit of red. Oh, this is the hardest bit. Picking, oh, that cat. Picking bits to sort of build your bird. Are we going to do a golden one, Corrine? Is that where we're going with this? How many colours do we need? A colour for his head, which goes straight through to his tail. A colour for his chest, and also appears on the inside of the wing at the back here. So that's number 2. And then a lovely little feature wing, number 3. When you look at these, they mix it up even more. Or do they? 1, 2, 3, no. Oh, see, there's a tip. There's a tip on this wing that's different. So, yeah, let's just keep it simple, girl. So, if I do a little brown neutral bird, see, there you go. I was going to do red. And I've just gone off on a tangent. So I don't mind that fabric, but it doesn't match. That's French. Oh my goodness. The longest part of this video is Corrine deciding what colour she's going to do her bloomin' bird. Oh, imagine making it out of little quilt squares. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, the possibilities. The possibilities. What else is in here in scrappy bits? Songbird, music. That's pretty cute. Cute idea, but wrong colours. Stop mucking around. Green sort of works with that little combination up there. Do I want a green bird? Probably not. Neutral and look at these. Like you could do some, that's a bit of Sanderson fabric. The possibilities, seriously. Just make a decision. She can't make a decision, that's a problem. There's a bit of dark blue. Maybe I do that. Get rid of the green. So you could, oh, on a bird cage. We don't want a bird cage on a bird, do we? I don't think that's real nice. There's this little bit. Oh, Fudgy's jumping around out there. So there's a bit of check. I can hear him bellowing. Is he on the kitchen counter? Gosh. I don't think so. I think he better not be. He's going to be in strife. I don't mind that. Oh, you can't even see. Goodness me. I'm thinking I eliminate that one. And it's this. Get rid of that. All right, we're going for a neutral style bird. So much for pulling out some fabrics. Like, see? Had that one out. So if we make his back the khaki camel colour, his wing this, and his tummy this is what I'm thinking. So we'll give it a go. And he'll just be a random bird. Did you hear that? Fudgy's doing zoomies. Okay, focus. Go out there and sort that cat out. So the plan now, let me just get myself in a good position, is to carefully pick up each one and cut it out. Now remember, this is slow stitch. We don't need rotary cutters. We don't need it absolutely precisely cut. But if you want to, you can. But I'm not. I want my little bird to, maybe I'll do a line with a pen. I want my little guy to look scrappy. I'm going to draw it. Fudgy, he's just gone high speed down the hallway. Hear him? Oh, he's naughty. He's woken up with some swagger in his step, it would seem. So there's my first little block. Hey, Fudge, you watch him jump up and send my bird flying. Now there's a little bit missing. So we're going to, pussy, cut that off. You see how this is going to go? And that will be, where are we going to put him? There. Then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on him to hold him into position. You don't have to. You could use, you know, iron-on fusible webbing. Depends how frayed you want him. I just need a little bit just to hold him. And I don't want him to disintegrate. There's quilter's glue. There's all sorts out there. I just like, oh, what's he done? Oh, boy. That cat. First block into position. Slightly crooked, but that's okay. Just give it a trim. Fudgy. Isn't he naughty? Right, I need to go and sort out that cat. All right, let's do this guy next. So same thing. Sketch it in. There was a bunny I spotted that I thought was just gorgeous on a free bunny block. Okay, now grab your square back, trim it up. It's got a fraction bigger, but that's all right. We can modify. It's fiddly, it's fun. Now I'm always, I just cut fabric with scissors. I just cut paper with scissors that shouldn't have. There we go. We're going to ignore that. They're getting blunt anyway. That little block there, just hang on to him, because I did notice when I made the blue one, see that block there? That is him. So instead of cutting another one, I'm going to put him down here, because I believe we can use him from the tail, because his head is the mustard going down. So what we might do is I'm going to do these two next. So you can see if I cut one block, it starts getting really interesting, this. If I cut one more, this is a lot of fun, guys. Cut out the square. Make sure it's square. Just a little bit of a trim. It's all by eye. Then we're going to cut it on the diagonal to give us that. And let's put that back, girl. Don't get it messed up. That's excess. Get rid of it. we've got this guy. So we're now going to place that there and that there. See that? We won't glue him into position because we need to make sure they all match up. So at this stage, we're just placing it. This one I was happy to glue down. Now, let's do this guy, I think. So we're going to cut another square. Maybe if I leave that, take the beak and use that as my template. There you go. There's a change to the plan already. I'm going to rough cut that and then get my square. Oh, yeah, this is a bit smarter. See, every time you do it, you learn something new, don't you? So we're doing this fellow here. I'm going to cut there. And that one will go there. So now we've got his bottom in position. So there's some mustard up there. And there. Now how did I do it? Oh, I cut a full square and then put the little bit on top of it. So I might dodge up here and cut that guy next. The first of his underbelly, which is this. So here's my little beak template. I'm liking the idea of using the beak, actually. I'll just do a square. So his mustard tummy is coming into play, which will be there. Now, this is that little bit, and we need the corner off. Do we measure it? Nah. What could go wrong? That's not needed. Now we lay that onto there. It's fiddly, but boy, this is fun. There we go. So we're going to need another one of those. And his beak is also that mustard. So let's cut another mustard square. Fudgy's gone quiet. He's had his zoomies and now he's gone for a wander, or he's gone back to bed. Won't see him till 4 o'clock now. He'll have his little daily nap. So, okay, there's the little beak. Now we need another one of these, but in that opposite corner. So let's get that as close as we can, size-wise. So we've got a mustard edge and a mustard edge. Tiny itty-bitty triangles. I can't even imagine doing this on a sewing machine. I would jigger it up and have to undo something sooner or later. Let's get this beak happening. See if I can. Turning my fabric over here. Luckily the mustard is looks the same both sides. There's a way I can save fabric. One beak. I might get him glued down. Oh, who didn't put the pin back in the glue? Oh, I was just too excited to get my little bird. Where is the pin? Good question. Just a little bit, just to hold. Getting it in the right spot. There. Okay. Oh, this is just riveting viewing, isn't it? All right, we don't need those scraps. So we've got his head. We've got this piece here could be glued. Just the tiniest bit of glue, guys. It's really just to hold it, because once this goes into your hand to stitch, you know, it starts getting squinched up, and if you're a fan of fusible webbing, well, gosh, just do it. I'm not too worried about it. I like my itty bit of glue. You can use even these types of glue sticks, just to put a little bit on to hold it. Just be careful that it doesn't pull your fabric as you're dragging that glue across and start fraying your work. So we'll carry on here with this little bird and get him down. I'll then show you the stitching I plan to do on him. It's a pretty straightforward thing. It's nothing. And then in the next video next week, we'll start building the side of the bag. So this little guy is just waiting to have something underneath him, which is going to be the blue wing. So using that beak template again, that was a good idea, having one template, and then this just stays where it is. Otherwise it gets out of hand. You'll be sitting there twisting blocks thinking, where has this got to go? That's why I think doing this on the sewing machine, oh my goodness. Like, I used to love the quilting when I was doing it, but boy, I was often unpicking things. Maybe I'm too rushed, and it's, you know, causing me grief at the sewing machine because I'm missing steps. There we go. So there's the little, I just trim that a little because I can see the tiniest little bit of blue. There we go. Why is that block not the same size as that block? What went wrong there, guys? Oh, are you serious? See, the sewing machine, imagine that. I'd get to the sewing machine and it'd be all out of plumb because one block's not trimmed. That's easily fixed. Let's give it a little snip. Let's do it by eye, for goodness sakes. Just a smidgen off. There we go. Modified. And there we have our blue wing. Let's just put a little bit of glue there just to hold him. It's the tiniest amount. And done. There we go. All right, where are we at? Let's do a mustard here. And that mustard and that mustard can be used, yes. No, not mustard, floral mustard. So I'm going to cut another one. And we're going to cut it in half at the diagonal. Put the pin back in the glue girl. Okay. If you had a rotary cutter, you could be ever so precise. But I don't want that. I want scrappy. All right, so now we can cut this guy like that. When I made the blue one, I was like, well, how do I communicate all the steps in what order, and then I thought, no, you don't need to. Just play with your little bird. There we go. So that's correct, his tummy. There is also that wing up the top, so we can now glue a little bit there. This glue too, that'll just save those edges, especially if you use a fabric that is quite a loose weave. Is that right? Yep. It's a little bit crooked. Straighten him up a little. There we go. Just that tiny little bit. Just preserve those fine little edges. There we go. He's coming along now. Cheeky little boy. Okay, so that was good. One square did two. That guy's into position. We might just do a standard blue to sit there. Let's cut that next. Takes the pressure off when it's just a... Oh, the pin's not in the glue. Seriously, I'm so focused on this little bird. He will be handy just to have in my random elements. Might use one day in a project bird. Can sit with my dragonflies. I'm going to trim a little bit more off of that. Seems a bit bigger. What I might do is, because down the track in the years to come, Birdie might reappear in other videos as an element, and instead of recreating it every time like I am here, I might just do a single video on how to make him. And then in the future, I can just add that video to the description. I think that's what I shall do. We're going to make a third one and it'll appear in an individual video. Okay, what else do we need? I'm going to cut another blue and we'll pop that there. And then there's a mustard going to, I can hear a fly. Gosh, there's so many flies around at the moment. I don't know what's going on. We've got this humid, hot weather and rain, and it's just like they've exploded. It must be perfect conditions for flies. I even saw someone on Facebook, one of the community pages that, you know, for an area, comment about it. And I thought, yes, there is a lot. All right, so let's get this big guy in, and he is going to have, it's way easier putting a glue on the fabric than trying to, there you go, another hot tip. It's good I'm having a practice here, because when I make a video that's just making of the bird, I would have figured all this out. Don't make a mess of the bird pattern. Okay, so we need a little bit of gold down here, and we're going to have to make a brand new square and cut it on the diagonal, and it won't be needed. So I won't need that little guy. Trim it. See, it does fray easily. And that will sit there to build the rest of his tummy. You could probably cut that blue one back to 1/4, but it's giving it a little bit of stability by having the full blue square or block underneath it. Yep, I like that. Now, where are we at? We need one there. So what did I do? I did the blue again to put into that position. This is a lot of fun, guys. Even if you don't use it in this project, have a go at making it, because it'll be a nice little element somewhere, I'm sure. Okay, one blue square straight into there. Ah, there's my piece, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it is. My little tail feather coming up. There we go. And then this will sit there. Is that right? Yep, that's right. Now we can glue. Oh, listen to that rain, isn't it beautiful? It's gentle. I like gentle rain. I love seeing thunderstorms form and build, and that's always very interesting. I don't like being in a thunderstorm, but they are awfully interesting when they're getting themselves going. I'm getting a little bit gamer now, aren't I, with the glue? I think we can visually see where we're to head with it. And then that little guy is there. There we go. Okay. Oh, I love him. So what are we missing? We're missing up here. So we just need a pin in the glue. Is that my last one? Where's my beak? I think it is, isn't it? I think in one of those pictures they made this last little tip a different fabric. He had like a tip on his wing. So I just need one of them cut on the diagonal. We're coming along to the end of it now. There we go. There's the last little wing. Hello, little baby. How are you? Okay. I think why I'm drawn to this glue in particular is it has the tip, which is great for getting into tight little areas. I have it sitting here, having paid a lot of money for this art glitter glue, and I'm not doing the paper crafts like I was. Like tiny amounts of fabric we use for this project, so it's good to use it. Let me just get myself a little organised here. There's his little beak. This is good. So I've had a little practice again. My little bird. So, and the good thing about art glitter glue is it dries really quickly. So he's attached. He's ready to stitch. Now, all I did was then using a fine cotton. You could use something a little bit bigger, but I didn't because I sort of felt like it was overpowering him a little bit. So when I made the blue one, I just used normal cotton from the sewing machine, and I like the effect that it gave. Gosh, we covered a lot today. So if you plan to join me on this project, have a look at Angie's video. Make yourself a tote without too much hand sewing and just see if it's the right size for you, if it's going to be useful. And then have a look at maybe enlarging it if you want to. Work out your fabrics. It's great when you've got one in front of you physically. I nearly did that and I thought, oh, I just wanted to get started. So all I'm going to do now is just running stitch on the slight inside. I might zoom in, guys. And that's just adding that decorative element, securing the piece down, top stitching. That's the right word, isn't it? I'm top stitching each piece as if I was quilting it. I might change my needle to reg because this is quite thick, and because I'm right on the edge of that fabric and it's a coarser fabric, it's really splitting. Well, it's making quite a large hole, and it's just going to potentially fray things. The glue underneath is going to be a blessing, but let's make a smaller hole with this needle. So Reg, you're on duty. Those who don't know who Reg is, he's a nasty little needle. He's got form, as in disappearing down my thumbnail. He's been quite an annoying little fellow in my stitching career. So he's one of those needles that is just so handy because you can bead with him, stitch with him. But because he's so fine, he bites me all the time. So he has been named. Those of you who have been with me for a while, you'll know Reg. It was funny when I went to Susanna and her retreat she held in Ballarat. Vintage Blend Studio is Susanna's channel. I sometimes forget to say that and people go, oh, who's this Susanna? She sounds like fun. Some of the girls came up to me and said, is Reg with you? I'm like, yes, Reg goes everywhere. He doesn't deserve to because he's a nasty little needle. So I will settle in now to stitching all of these little, see my lines are just a little bit. Reg, seriously, he hasn't taken the same size stitch. He's done a little one here. See what I mean? It's all Reg's fault. No one defend him. You'll be all saying, Corrine, Reg had nothing to do with the size of that stitch. Yes, he did. All right. A generous stitch. I'll get into the rhythm once I... There we go. So by eye, I'm just picking a little seam. Thread spinning, wedges spinning. It's going to be a knot happen in a minute. My cotton is a little bit long, so I'm putting it under pressure. So now I'm just going to, one block at a time, reduce the length of your cotton, girl. Okay, that's better. One block at a time, just work my way around each one, top stitching it. Try and keep your lines straightish, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's all about making it look like a quilted little bird. Well, I will finish said little bird. I don't know how long this video has been going for. I think I had filmed about 20 minutes and I thought, oh, another 40 and we'd be just about on the hour. There we go. And he'll be a handy little fellow to have. So what I might do is I'll toddle off and I'll finish stitching this little guy. I will pop a photo of him at the end of this video along with the blue one. And I might go and film the making of this bird just in one video. And then I've got it for future times that he appears. I can just pull it out and say, linked below is a video on how to do. I have to come up with a name for him, hey? Little patchwork block bird. When I have a block, I'm scooting down to this one now. When I have a block that has a little feature there, I stitch on that inside edge of the gold. Then I'll come back and stitch this guy in its entirety. You've got to think like a quilt. There we go. You could draw some lines for yourself if you want it to look, all my bits are gone everywhere now. We won't be using those in the next video. Save a bit of time. You could rock your needle through your fabric and take a few stitches. We'll just finish this block here. Reg has dropped his thread. And then you can see where we're heading with it. So the video for making the bird that I've been talking about, I'm not sure when that'll pop up. I'll have a look at my schedule. So it won't be before this one, I can guarantee that. We'll pop it in to the schedule after this one, and then I'll come back for another bag video and we will embellish the side of the bag using a little bluebird there. Imagine this in wool fabrics. How pretty would that be? Stitch was a little small, Reg, but anyway, we won't let it bother us. Main thing is everything's held down. Like if you ironed all those little elements onto some fusible webbing, it'd be really secure then, especially if you don't want that scrappy frayed edge look. Come on, Reg. Seriously, he's getting antsy now. He's not wanting to. Just need one more stitch, Reg. There we go. I haven't put an eye on little bluebird, but you certainly could pop a bead or something into position. While I'm at that corner, I'm just going to stitch up here. So you thought you were going, but I'm still here. Oh, it's way out of alignment. All right, Reg, I get the impression that you finished, Reg. So we're going to undo that stitch and I will leave it at that. I'll go and stitch this little guy and then we'll have a little mustard bird with a blue wing on a morsel of fabric for a rainy day. And my little blue boy here, that rainy day has come, and I will catch you in the next video where I use little bluebird on the side of my piece, and we'll collage around it and lace it and Corrine it and have a play. So in the meantime, you can at least check out where the tote is, how it's constructed. You can, you're getting an advanced view on this little bird pattern. Now, where's the name of the Charming Tribe? I'll put a link to it in the video below. Let me zoom up a little bit because we're right up in your grill there. So, yeah. And then at some point in the next week, how to make him video will pop up. And then I'll catch back up with you guys with the tote and little bluebird. So I think that's how it's going to roll. So I can put all these little bits away now. I think keeping them laid out like that and having a mud map beside you, very good idea, girl. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. I'll pop a picture of this little fellow stitched at the end of the video, but I think you got the general gist of it all. All right, guys, look after yourselves and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.